right, let's get into our recap of Week 17. As said, I was traveling on this day. I was keeping updates on my phone. I was a little hungover from a wedding. I was hungover from the the Michigan loss, which I won't even talk about. I did just get news today. I was in the wedding last weekend. I ripped my tux jacket. Just got charged another 175 over the rental fees. So
Uh,
last weekend I got really drunk. So I was just and I had to drive back to Virginia from Michigan on Sunday. So I was just keeping updates on my phone. But I did look over these last couple games. First of all, Detroit, Chicago. Statement win from Detroit. Chicago sucks. Justin Fields, everyone's saying had a really good year. I mean, yeah, his rushing stats are good, but the Bears have 3 wins. They're one of the worst teams in the league. Um, Maybe we just talk about moving maybe Fields to a running back or a slot because he can't throw the ball. Really fantastic runner, but yeah, the Bears aren't it. Um, I do want to say a couple things about Detroit. Swift finally looked good. I think this is like two. Oh no, this is 1 week in a row now of Swift actually looking like RB1. And I was pretty upset that Hawkinson trade, but Brock Wright is looking really good the last 2 weeks. He had 2 touchdowns on Sunday. So it's making me feel better about that Hawkinson trade. Because I thought Hawk was one of the top, 5 tight ends in the league. He hasn't done much in Minnesota. And now Brock Wright is really coming on for the Lions, which is great to see. But yeah, we kind of just recap the Lions. Obviously, a lot going on this weekend. But a must win against Chicago, and they pulled it out by 31 points. So I was proud that they looked like an actual football team as opposed to the week prior.
yeah, I'll try to keep this pretty quick, but this is the first time really in my life that I can say that we're not the same old Lions anymore. Um, I can't handicap Detroit right now. I just keep getting burned because I keep waiting for the same old Lions mantra to kind of come to fruition here, and it's just not happening. In the past, this is a game that they totally would have blown. At least not covered a 6 point spread, potentially losing outright. But this year, we're just different. The It seems to be a pretty complete team all the way around. This is the first year going into the NFL draft with where the team stands right now that I don't think there's a huge gaping need at any position, um, other than maybe safety, just because we do have some injury issues back there. Um, but yeah, I'm really impressed with this team. I'm happy, win or lose this week, playoffs or no playoffs. This was a successful season all the way around in my book. So just was happy to see that they're continuing to fight and playing really good football up until the last week of the year.
Yeah, and I just wish they were playing like this the whole year. I know it takes some time, new team, new roster to get going, but it should have taken us longer or quicker than 7 weeks to figure it out. If that would have happened, then we wouldn't be in this situation right now. But hindsight 2020. Yeah, I agree with you. I think they are different Lions. Hopefully they can surprise us this weekend. Not sure that'll happen, but yeah, good win over to Chicago again. Beating a divisional team's never easy, but they made it look pretty easy in that game.
I actually want to touch one more thing. We actually locked up a winning record in the division this year, which I don't know when the last time that was, but 2-0 over Chicago, 1-0 over Green Bay so far. We'll see on Sunday, and 1-1 over Minnesota. So only one divisional loss. I'll take that.
Yeah, that doesn't happen much in our lifetime,
It
so we
doesn't.
we take that. All right, moving on. We had the Miami versus New England game. Again, I didn't watch a whole lot of this one. I will say one thing that I did note. Um, New England is staying in all these games because of their defense. I'm not sure the exact stat, but their defense has to be one of the highest scoring defenses in the league. Seems like every week they get a pick six, fumble recovery, touchdown. They're just a very high scoring defense, which is great because their offense really struggles at times. Mac Jones, I think he's an average quarterback. I don't think he's anything special. And then obviously Miami without Tua. They had Bridgewater starting, who he's a fine backup, nothing special there. But yeah, New England gets the win here, 23-21. Do you have anything to add on this game?
Yeah, Miami I mean, they were 8-3. They're now 8-8 after 5 straight losses. I will say, I think they had the worst schedule in the NFL. Just completely screwed over in scheduling spots. They had 2 games out west and had to go play at Buffalo in snowy, cold Buffalo. Back home, Christmas Day game against Green Bay, a surging Green Bay, and then back up to New England. So just been all over the map, playing in tough spots against tough teams. So, um, yeah, I mean, New England's back alive for a playoff spot. I believe if they win, they're in. They do have Buffalo though in Buffalo, so tougher um, task than it may seem. But yeah, curious to see how this wild card spot plays out between. I assume it's going to be either New England or Miami.
Yeah. And again, we'll talk about it. I don't know if it's one of the game. Oh, it is. So we'll talk about it in a little bit. But Miami quarterback problems continue to become an issue. And we'll get into that in a little bit when we get to our game previews. All right. One of the more exciting games that I actually was following a little bit, Carolina at Tampa Bay. Finally, Tom Brady and Mike Evans get a connection because Mike Evans has been on my fantasy team. I have to start him because I still think he's one of the top 3 wide receivers in the league, and he just has so much potential. Unfortunately, the last couple of weeks, he really hasn't done much. Tom Brady hasn't really targeted him much, but he came out in the just in time for my fantasy championship, scored me 46 points, 3 touchdowns. I don't know how many, over 100 and whatever yards. So Tom Brady and Mike Evans finally got it to click. Tom Brady did overcome an 11-point fourth quarter deficit to win this game. I still don't really trust Tampa. I don't know. I still kind of think they're very beatable. I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs, especially in the first round. I'll say that, but I don't think they're a team that's going to make a run like we have seen in years past. But big win for Tom. He clinched the division with this win. They'll probably rest a lot of guys this weekend. Not even sure who they're playing, but like that's one of the games where probably don't bet it because you just don't know who's playing. But yeah, finally Tom gets it figured out. It's good to have Mike Evans go off in my championship game. Yeah, their defense is still a little suspect though. 24 points to the Panthers is not great. This was supposed to be their strong point, and they've struggled not only this game but throughout the year. And I don't believe they're a top 10 defense anymore. Like they were when they won the Super Bowl or when they made it to the NFC Championship. So defensively, they're struggling. Offensively, yeah, they figured it out, but they've looked really bad the last couple of weeks. So still wouldn't want to play them in the champ or in the playoffs, but yeah, I don't think they're super worrisome moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely not the same team. Managed to pull a rabbit out of the hat 2 weeks in a row. They overcame that deficit in Arizona, overcame this deficit. Um, Mainly, I'm just happy. I wrote an article for Cooper Sports late October, I want to say, about you should probably hop in on Tampa Bay to win that division. I got it minus 112. And if you go back and read it, it was pretty spot on from there until now. So really happy with how that prediction ended up. Really happy to cash a ticket on Tampa Bay, even though it was pretty sweaty all the way through. So happy to see Tom back in the playoffs. I think in my Better and Green show, my co-host Zach was saying that as of now, Tampa Bay is slated to go against Dallas in the first round, and Tom Brady's never lost to Dallas, so that's an interesting matchup there.
In the playoffs or just ever?
I think ever.
Oh
I
God.
think he's never lost. Actually, ironically, I think he's never lost to Atlanta, who he plays this week, who is a 4-point favorite, and yeah, Dallas, I think, are the 2 teams that have
Wow.
never beat him. So interesting storyline there if that does end up happening. But yeah, at the end of the day, happy to just cash the ticket and not have to sweat out a game in Atlanta this week for the division.
Yeah. And yeah, they finally got into the playoffs. We knew they would. We were just waiting to see when that was going to happen. So I'm happy I'm a Tom Brady fan, Michigan fan, sad Michigan fan, but I am a Tom Brady fan. I want him to succeed. I will be rooting for him in the playoffs. I really don't like Dallas, so I hope they play them and hopefully they can pull up an upset. But I just don't know how good they are.
Yep.
One of the more disappointing games that we're recapping, the Jets versus the Seahawks. We really needed the Jets to win this one. They look terrible. Mike White, I believe, was starting. Not good. And Seattle, yeah, they pull out a 23-6 win. Seattle just they ran the ball all over them. Kenneth Walker, I think on the first drive had a 60-yard run. I believe he was over 120 rushing yards. Really hard to beat a team when you can just run on them at will. So disappointed in the Jets, and now I believe they are officially knocked out.
Yep.
I'm not sure what if they do an 8-teamer, but as of now, I believe they are officially knocked out of the playoffs. And they just can't figure it out offensively. Their defense is great all year. Their secondary is one of the best. Run game's not bad, although it was bad against Seattle. But offensively, they can't figure it out. They keep doing this kind of like the Miami situation. This quarterback after quarterback, they can't pick the right guy, injuries and everything. So disappointed in the Jets. I guess good for Seattle. No one expected them to even be in the playoff talks. As Detroit's fans, we hate it because we need to get in and they hold a tiebreaker. But I don't have much more to say or add to that game. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't either. Just sad that Seattle won because, like you said, would have helped out Detroit had they lost. You also though just turned a light bulb on in my head. It is going to be really tough to go to an 18 playoff because we're halfway through the week. Teams who are quote unquote eliminated, like the Jets, if there was an 18 playoff, would then maybe not be eliminated, and they've maybe been practicing with their starters benched, and who knows. So yeah, that I don't know if they'll be able to do 8 teams at this point in the week, but yeah, wish New York would have pulled that out.
Yeah, I'm. We're Thursday. It's Thursday, right? They got to come out with a decision soon about what they're doing with this because, as you said, these teams right now are already prepping for the offseason, resting starters. But if they have a chance at the playoffs, that could drastically change their practice plan, their game plan. Obviously, the NFL is in a really difficult situation, as I said at the beginning of the show. Whatever decision they make, not everyone's going to be happy, but
right.
Decision's going to have to be made. And I don't know why they keep postponing it. Just say something. You're going to get backlash regardless. Just say it and then stand by it. Everyone's going to be okay. It's a business. We have to move on. Yep. But yeah, I don't know when that decision will come. Hopefully, I was going to say by the end of the day, but maybe by Saturday. I don't know. We'll figure it out. That last game, one of the more surprising ones. You were on Green Bay spread. Congratulations on that win. I had Green Bay money line as my favorite. So yeah, it hit. But yeah, Minnesota. I know they're just kind of cruising. They already have the number 1 seed in the NFC North. So it didn't really have a whole lot of implications to them. Green Bay needed to win to continue their playoff hopes. But I've been saying this last couple of weeks. Green Bay is scarier right now. There's nothing more scarier than a pissed off Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers that is trying to squeak his way in the playoffs after just getting shit on by every news outlet, every sports writer, everyone out there shitting on him in the packs for the last couple of weeks. And now he has a chance to, get payback. So nothing scarier in my mind than this Packers team right now. Would be terrified if I was Detroit playing them. They're literally on their A game right now. And one thing to add, I know we were talking a little bit about incentives. There are 2 season records on the line. One's a little bit more believable than the other one. They're still kind of very far reached. But Justin Jefferson got shut down against Green Bay against Jair Alexander. If you even just had 50 yards receiving in that game, he would only need 120 yards this week to beat, or 130 yards this week to beat the all-time single season passing record or receiving record held by Megatron. So now with that shitty performance, he is at 194 receiving yards, which is plausible, but is it really going to happen in a game that doesn't matter this next week? No. So it's not going to happen, but it is something to note. Definitely don't bet on it because more than likely he's probably going to rest. But he could have had an opportunity if he showed up at all against Green Bay. But yeah, Green Bay, again, scary defense. Rodgers is figuring out with these rookie and young wide receivers. They're a team that I don't want to fuck with right now, and I would be shitting my pants if I was Detroit.
Yeah, I like I mentioned earlier, Green Bay was one of my favorite players of the year, had the most money on them that I've had this entire NFL season. So was extremely happy to have a no sweater. Great game. If you were a Packers fan, Packers better. Just everything kind of went their way. So again, I'll kind of toot my horn here. I wrote an article about them. I said the score would be 31-17, so missed it by 10 points, but pretty close there. I haven't had much to toot my horn about since starting this show, so got to do it when I can. But yeah, Green Bay looks good. I actually somewhat disagree with the Justin Jefferson thing. I think he will play. I think he will go for that record. I hope he doesn't get it. I hope it stays in Megatron's hands. And even if he does, it's 17 games instead of 16. So
Right.
there will always be an asterisk next to it. Um, but according to Prize Picks, which is where I think the only place right now where you can find props, his receiving yards is set at 90.5 this week. So even if he doesn't get to 194, I think that's what Minnesota's kind of going to be going for in this game. Plus, they saw only getting the ball to him one time for 15 yards clearly isn't the way to success with Minnesota getting blown out like that. So I would look for his receiving yards over. If he gets 100 yards, you're there. I could see him against Chicago's awful defense going for a 50-yard touchdown on the first drive. So I think that probably gets there. Hope he doesn't break the record, but I think they will go for it.
Okay. Yeah, and I love people trying to attempt to break records. The other one that's pretty much dead. I don't even know why I'm talking about it, but Mahomes is 450 yards short of the single season passing record. Obviously, he's not going to throw that much on Saturday in a game that doesn't matter at all. I guess a little bit on the AFC seeding, but again, that's in a huge question mark. So that's not going to happen. I don't think he's thrown over 400 yards this year. So, but he is close technically. We've seen it before. I think Joe Burrow has a 450-yard game. I know Tua does. So it's doable, but is it going to happen? No. But just another. I don't even know who holds that record, but
Peyton Manning, I believe.
oh yeah, it does Peyton Manning, right? So doesn't look like that's going to happen. But it's not too often that we actually talk about these records being broken. You did bring up a good point with that 17 game seasons now. So there'll always be an asterisk on everything. But yeah, it's fun stuff to talk about. So
yep.
All right, those are our 5 recap games. Again, we had a lot of big games that happened last weekend. Those are just the biggest ones we want to point out. We will shift into our previews for this weekend. Again, there's a lot of games that I just would not even touch. I don't have them written down, but games that mean nothing. Like the Colts Texans, that game means absolutely nothing for either of those teams. I have no idea what team wants to win, what team wants to drop for draft stock. So just stay away. In my opinion, you can bet them if you want. I would stay away from those games because that's not the teams that you think you're betting on. These are they could be third stringers starting. So just make sure you're reading reports. You're not betting a weird line because you're like, oh, it's just because the teams don't care this late in the season. But there are a couple of good games that we will talk about on Sunday. The first one we have listed is the AFC North between Baltimore and Cincinnati. There's still, again, Cincinnati was involved in that game on Monday night that got postponed. So there's still, obviously the game's not going to be rescheduled, but Cincinnati currently is in I guess I'm going to call it a half game ahead of Baltimore because they're one game short. So I still think if Baltimore wins this, we're going to have a weird situation on our hands. Not like it really matters, but it could matter a little bit in regards to who you're going to play in the playoffs. But as of right now, I believe the line is Cincinnati -7, over unders 42. This is one of my money lines here. I have Cincy money line. It's at Cincy. Lamar Jackson is still questionable. I think he's probably going to attempt to play. But he's already clinched the playoffs. Both teams have clinched playoffs. So they're basically fighting for positioning in the playoff rankings. And I guess if you want to say you're the AFC North title winner, but not a whole lot here, but I do think Cincinnati wins. I don't trust them by a touchdown. I do kind of like the under in this game, under 42. I know that's scary when you have Joe Burrow and T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Jefferson, all those powerhouse wide receivers and passing attack. It's scary to take an under in a Cincinnati game. But Baltimore, if you look at their last couple of games, I don't think they've gone much over 30, 31. So I think just counteracting that, we can get somewhere in the middle, have like a 37 type of total here. So I would lean the under, but Cincinnati is one of my money line parlays this weekend.
Yeah, so before I get into this game, I just want elaborate on elaborate on one thing you just said when you were talking about the Texans Colts game, and that was read reports. I think that's really the best thing you can do this week. Um, Sorry, got something in my throat here. But I think for the last week of the regular season, every season for NFL, I think the best thing you can do is read those reports, read the quotes coming out of the locker rooms, look for those player incentives, look for what teams have something to play for, which teams don't, if teams are playing for a better draft pick, um, if teams don't have a first round draft pick, so they don't care. There's all sorts of reasons why you want to win or lose your last game of the year. So I think that's the best way to handicap it, especially just looking at the injury reports, the reports coming out of the locker room, and the quotes from around the team. But yeah, for Baltimore Cincinnati, weird game, tough game to handicap. We don't know about Lamar's status. I saw he didn't practice again today. So I lean to him not playing, probably just resting himself for the playoffs. Um, because they have already clinched. Cincinnati, obviously, off the unfinished game on Monday night, um, which I mean that could be decent for them because it's kind of like another bye week since they only played 10 minutes of the game. Um, they were home, so they didn't have to travel for nothing. So that could be kind of an advantage. At the same time, they put in a lot of work for Buffalo. They didn't really get to play. It's just a weird, uncharted waters that we've never really experienced before. So tough to handicap. Um, my lean here, I don't think I could get involved. Would be Baltimore plus the 7. I think you're probably pretty safe with that Cincinnati money line. I'm kind of wishful thinking. I hope Baltimore wins. I hope they win the division because I do have a divisional parlay that they're my last leg of plus 971, I believe. That I took at the beginning of the year. So would really like for Baltimore to cash that parlay. But yeah, I think Cincy probably gets it done. Would go the plus 7 just because it's such a big game in the division. Um, don't really know what to make of the over under, maybe over just because of Cincinnati, but yeah, tough game to handicap all the way around.
Yeah, there's a couple tough ones this weekend. But one that does have playoff implications is our next one in regards to the Patriots at Buffalo. You said it earlier, and thank you for bringing it up because I'm not entirely sure how the AFC is going to unfold. But I believe you said if the Patriots win, they're in, correct?
I believe so.
Okay, so Patriots beat the Bills, which again is a very, very difficult task to do at Buffalo, I believe. They are in. So Patriots have that added motivation. Um, the Bills, again, still a huge question mark, but I'm assuming they're still going to be trying to win for that AFC number one if it's still available. So this should be an impactful game, like the game we just discussed. Currently, the line is 7.5 point favorite for Buffalo. Over under is 42.5. I personally love New England plus 7.5 here. I like that you get that hook of that touchdown. Again, I love Buffalo too right now. They're Josh Allen was really excited for that Monday night game between him and Joe Burrow. I thought that was going to be a shootout. I did take the under, so thankfully that didn't go through all 4 quarters because it was looking like it would be a very high scoring game. But yeah, I think both teams have a lot on the line here, and I just kind of like a similar saying or a similar thought process as you said on the game we just discussed. It seems like a lot of points for a divisional game. I could very well see Buffalo winning by 10 plus or something like that because that's just what Buffalo does. But I think New England plus 7.5 is what I'm going to roll with, and I also like the under in this game. New England's defense is really good. Josh Allen we've seen is sometimes careless in the passing game. He does throw some stupid passes, and I think New England could capitalize on a couple picks. And then New England's offense is not going to score a whole lot. So I would lean the under in this one as well as New England spread.
Yeah, so we have a lot of games that we can go to for a challenge this week. Um, Again, though, this game tough to handicap based on the unfinished Monday night game. Um, for me, it can go either of two ways for Buffalo. They're not focused, their minds are elsewhere. They come out flat. Um, Weird spot. They don't really know what's going to happen with their game that's unfinished. New England needs the win. New England can come out and hit them in the mouth. The other way it could go, which is the way I'm leaning towards, is Buffalo is getting good signs from Hamlin. There's not much more they can do at this point except keep praying, keep hoping. But things are going in a positive direction. Um, I think they turned their focus into this game. I think they came out wanting to beat Cincinnati, didn't get the chance to. I think they now turn it on to New England. They don't want to see New England in the postseason, especially after that game last year where they just mantled New England in the playoffs. It would be just a team that they don't want to have to face a third time. Um, so I think Buffalo goes in there motivated. I think they take care of business. Um, I really could see this being similar to that playoff game. I think that ended like 47-10 potentially. Somewhere in that range. I could see that happening again. I think Buffalo plays inspired for Hamlin. We've seen it multiple times. We just saw it with Mississippi State after Mike Leach. We've seen it with Brett Favre when his dad passed. Torrey Smith of the Ravens when his brother died. Um, Chad Johnson after what was his teammate's name? Anyway, we've seen inspired games multiple times, and I just think we get another one here from Buffalo. That seems to me that their team mindset would be to go punch somebody in the mouth for their guy. So because of that, I like Buffalo minus the 7.5. I think it's down to 7 now. I like that even more. Would lean over, but I'll probably get on Buffalo and just hope they play inspired football.
Yeah, it's always tough to bet on a team when you have that much emotions going. Kind of like the Mississippi State bowl game. It's their first game after Coach Leach's passing. So yeah, it's a lot of motivation, a lot of emotion. So I could definitely see that outcome occurring. But yeah, we do have a couple different games you can choose from, which is usually we're pretty much on the same page. So this is good that we have some differences.
It is.
Moving on, we have the Jets versus the Dolphins. The Jets are a 1-point favorite on the road, I believe, and the over-under is at 38.5. The reason I think for this line is Tua is not playing. I think that's almost confirmed. Bridgewater's questionable. I believe Thompson is their third stringer, number 17, I believe, the white boy. So that will be potentially between him and Bridgewater, who's going to start. As for the Jets, I'm assuming it's going to be Mike White. But yeah, it's a game between two teams that are really struggling with that quarterback position. I got screwed on the Jets last week. I thought they were going to take out the Seahawks and help us out. The Jets have nothing to play for here, unless there's some sort of news that comes out that gives them an opportunity to be into that final playoff spot. But I still like the Jets here just to play spoiler. I don't think they really like the Dolphins. The Dolphins, I think if they lose, they're out. So I think I could see the Jets playing spoiler here, and I'm gonna be a sucker. I'm gonna fall from 2 weeks in a row and take the Jets -1.
Add it to the list. I like Miami. Yeah, I mean, I believe both teams are on 5-game losing streaks, so you're catching a falling knife either way if you're betting on this game. But I actually do like Miami quite a bit. They win, New England loses, they clinch a playoff spot. So I think they're gonna assume with that 7.5 point spread, you have to kind of assume you win and you're in. So I like that. I actually love that Skylar Thompson is playing, the whole injured player theory that we've kind of talked about before, quarterback on their first start. Love it. New York officially eliminated from the playoffs as it stands right now. So they're kind of, 5 weeks ago, it looked like they were almost a shoe in to make it, and they've just dropped every game since then. So they're probably just ready to get to the offseason, start turning some things around. Mike White clearly doesn't look very healthy. And not only that, they had to travel from New York all the way west coast to Seattle and now all the way south down to Miami. So bad scheduling spot for a team that is probably just ready to pack it in. So I like Miami plus the 1. I think they get there on the money line. And I actually look for this game to go over as well. I think Thompson, to make him feel most comfortable, he's going to want to be throwing some crossing routes to his speedsters, Waddle and Hill. I think they're going to have potential to break away on multiple of those. So I look for Miami to put up some points in this game and this total to go over 38.5 with Miami winning fairly comfortably.
Yeah, I'm loving this. I'm loving the disagreement here, and yeah, I think that's going to be. I think we're in a. I'm liking this next challenge. Let's just say that. So I think I'm fairly confident in whatever we pick. But all right, the game that means most to us, besides the actual game we're playing, the Rams versus the Seahawks. Seahawks are currently a 6.5 point favorite are at home against the Rams. Over under is set at 41. This is purely emotional. There's not a whole lot of stats behind this one in regards to my play here. I'm gonna take the Rams plus 6.5. I think it's just so Lions that everything goes towards our what we're trying to do. They reel us all the way in. If the Rams win, all Lions have to do is win. So it just seems like a headline I've seen in my head before. Like Lions, all they have to do is beat the Packers and they're in the playoffs, and then they get smoked by 28. So I could see this happening where the Rams win, Lions fans and the Lions are stoked. All they have to do is beat their arch rival, the Packers, at Lambeau. Would be like a fairy tale ending, and then they just come up short. So not a whole lot of emotion, or not a whole lot of brain going into this, more emotion. Again, I think Baker enjoys playing that spoiler. I think the Rams obviously have nothing to lose. They're already giving Detroit their draft pick, so they might as well help them even more to give them potential of making the playoffs. I don't know. I just think it's a good spot for LA. I thought they were going to do it last week. Turns out they got blown out, so I was pretty wrong there. But I am going to fall for them again and take them spread. If not, if they can't beat Seattle, I think they can keep it within a touchdown.
Yeah. First of all, before I get into this game, are you back to 100% from the chip, or how you feeling?
Yeah, I feel fine. Stomach is a little like acidy, kind of like feels like I just worked out a little bit, like kind of like turned, but it's like nothing digestive yet.
Yeah.
It's all, I mean, it just kind of feels like I've been coughing a little bit, kind of like raw in the throat, but a little scratchy, but yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
That, yeah, it was rough at the beginning, man. I don't know. I feel like you did better at the beginning. Like you weren't as affected by it, and then over time, it felt like you got a little worse. Whereas I sucked at the beginning, but now I feel like I'm doing better over time. But still,
Yeah.
it's still pretty early. But dude, I felt that immediately when it touched the lips. I was like, I am in for one hell of a ride here. So,
Hey, you did pretty good. I think you might have held out longer than I did with the water and the milk and all that. So
yeah. So, hey, I mean, yeah, I did it. So I feel like I could do anything now. So I was pretty
exactly.
nervous. I'm not going to be as nervous moving forward with challenges. I did see we did get a Twitter challenge in the comments. So again, please give us recommendations of what to do. I think I forget what it was. It was something gross, like a spoonful of like not
Yeah.
nutmeg, but something gross, like
Yeah. Vegemite.
Vegemite. That would 100% puke. But yeah, so please give us comment what you want us to do. If it's something appropriate, we will do it on the show. But
Yep.
anyways, I'll let you take on Seattle.
Yep. Well, glad you're feeling better. You took it like a champ there. But yeah, for this game, we finally agree. I like the Rams here. Like them quite a bit. Um, I think, Seattle needs the win and needs Green Bay to lose. Um, there's the must win mantra around them, but there's a reason they're in a must win game. It's because they haven't been getting wins all season long, or, haven't won enough games all season long. So, I think LA, I think they could have a little bit been looking ahead to this game last week. They played against the Chargers. It was the Battle of LA, but at the end of the day, it's a non-conference game. LA had the Chargers, that is, had the playoffs locked up. Didn't really mean much to the Rams whatsoever. So in this game, they can spoil their divisional opponent. I like Baker as well in that underdog role. I think he's playing for a spot on the team next year, hopefully as a starter for him. So I like that. I know Stafford's not playing, but he does still have a voice in that room. He obviously is going to want Detroit to make the playoffs. His wife Kelly was even posting to her Instagram, Los Angeles Lions is what she was calling them this week. So again, he won't affect the play, but he does have a voice there. I think McVay is going to coach him up pretty well. And then lastly, the Rams don't have to worry about tanking for a pick because that pick is in Detroit's hands. So they're not, if they lose this game, it doesn't help them whatsoever. So yeah, I like quite a bit plus a 6.5. Think they could win outright. Hope they win outright. Don't have the balls to go throw my money on their money line, but 6.5, too many points.
Yeah, I agree. Um, so our final game, I actually added one more game without telling you, but I'll mesh these two together because they're very, very similar. We have Cowboys at Washington, and we have the Giants at the Eagles. So in the Dallas game, Dallas is a 6.5-point favorite against Washington. Over under is 41. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Howell is starting for the Commanders.
Correct.
So quarterback drafted out of North Carolina. So now Washington is on their third quarterback this year. I guess they got rid of Heineke. They got rid of or got sick of Wentz. So now, and now Howell's onto it. Rivera's probably going to get fired. I don't see a world where he stays at all. He didn't even know that they got eliminated from the playoffs. Like, how do you not know that as a coach?
That was ridiculous.
Some like simple things you have to know. And I used to like Rivera, but he's not it, and I can't see a world where he stays. But anyways, in regards to that Dallas game, Dallas, they're technically still in the race for the number one spot and the divisional win or the conference win here. So if they win, I believe they need the Eagles to lose, and then they could possibly get that number one seed. It's going to be weird. I'm not sure the exact thing between them, Philly, and the Vikings, but it's up for grabs. So I like Dallas. Dallas is one of my money lines in this game. And likewise, in regards to that Giants Phillies game, Giants are resting every single person and their brother. I don't even know who's going to be playing for the Giants. So don't take, if you see Saquon at over 12 rushing yards, don't take it because he's going to be on the sideline in street clothes. And then Philly, I don't think Hurts is going to play, but I still feel like the Eagles team can beat a Giants team full of practice squad guys. So I do like both those teams money lined. And that's about all I have to say in regards to those two games.
Yeah. Like you said, Dallas is alive to win the division. They win, Eagles lose. The division is theirs. To win the one seed, they would have to also have San Francisco lose to Arizona. Not going to happen. So I think they realize they probably won't get the one seed. I think they realize they probably won't get the division, but they are locked into a playoff spot and might have to play Tampa, which is kind of advantageous for them, I think. So, yeah, I think it's too many points. I'm going to take Washington here. I like the play again on Sam Howell, definitely more than Carson Wentz. Wentz is horrific. I don't think we see him start an NFL game again, unless he's some third stringer that the first two get injured and he has to come in. But he's horrible. Rivera is a horrible coach for starting him over Heineke, in my opinion, especially when they were still well alive for a playoff spot. So, but yeah, I do like Washington to come in here. Dallas, I believe, is the most public play right now on their spread. Money's just pouring in on them. It opened at 4.5. It's now, I think, gotten up to 7.5 at one point. Might be back down to 7, I think, last I checked. So yeah, I like Washington to keep it close. I think it goes under. Dak Prescott has just been kind of horrible as of late, turning the ball over left and right. So I just can't lay the 7 on a team who's struggling right now with turnovers, who might not have a ton to play for. If at halftime they check the score of the Eagles game, see the Eagles are destroying the Giants, they might start resting players in the second half. Who knows? So tough game there. I think Dallas probably gets a win. I think Washington keeps it close, though. I think the Eagles get a win. So yeah, I think moneyline parlay for both those teams is probably fairly safe, but I would lean Washington plus the 7.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. All right. So yeah, again, just reiterating, make sure you do your research on the games that don't matter. Because there are going to be a lot of fishy lines. And if you're, new to sports betting or don't do a whole lot of research, just do yourself a favor and just look into the games a little bit. Again, a lot of fishy lines, but it's because literally many people are sitting, even like, big games like the Giants and the Eagles, you see a 14-point spread. You're like, what's going on here? Because every single Giants guy's resting. This game means nothing to them. They're not even going to attempt to even look competitive out there. So just make sure you do the research and know who's playing, what's on the line, and everything like that. But yeah, we'll finish off the show. We'll get into our bets of the weekend. So if you're new to this show, we do 5 bets every week. We do a money line, a most confident play, our favorite over, our favorite under, our favorite underdog, and then our favorite team expected to win, or the favorite. So a recap of our betting record. I went 2-2 last week because I did have that Bills Bengals under, but that got washed with the postponement of the game. So I went 2-2 to bring my record to 17-17. Not profitable, but 50-50, whatever. Ethan, 2-3. You finally won a most confident. You haven't won that one since week 1, I believe. And then a tough couple. Denver hurt you a couple of times in a row now on the under. The over in Seattle did not hit. Houston was I agreed with
Ugly.
that underdog play. I thought our Houston money line and Rams money line are pretty good underdogs. Unfortunately, those did not hit. And then congratulations on Tampa Bay. So brings your record to 14-21. Obviously, it's pretty hard. You'd think it would be easier to just pick a over under a dog and a favorite, but turns out either we're not very good or it's much harder than it seems. But yeah, I'll start with my most confident of the weekend. This is something new. You've done it a couple times before, but this is gonna be my first time doing it. I am doing a 3-teamer actually, all money lines, and they are as follows. I'm gonna do Kansas City money line, Dallas Cowboys money line, and then the Philadelphia Eagles money line, and that comes out to -120, -120, -125, depending what book you're on. So not great odds, but I just can't see any of those teams losing. And if they do, that will be funny, and I deserve to lose that. But I just don't see those teams losing. It might be ugly games, but I still feel like they'll get the W in that parlay.
I like that play a lot. I feel like Kansas City and Philly, I mean, they have to be locked into wins.
Right.
I mean, nothing's a lock in the NFL, but you're basically getting Dallas money line -120 there, I would say. So yeah, I like that play. Quick touch on Houston as the underdog. I saw Sunday morning it came out that the Jags said we're going to play our starters. This is a huge game. We want to keep the winning mentality going in Jacksonville. Blah blah blah. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. So luckily, I held off actually putting money on Houston like I was going to after I saw that quote. Was nervous from that point on about my dog. So in hindsight, wouldn't have picked it had I known that, but is what it is. My most confident, I'm going to go back to the LA game. Wishful thinking. Give me the Rams +6.5. Think it's too many points and think they keep it close.
I like it. And we're biggest Rams fan this weekend, as you said. Kelly Stafford said LA Lions. So
Yep.
maybe we can get some merchandise or something for LA Lions and get
there we
that
go
out before Sunday. But
there we go.
yeah, we're huge Rams fans. I still don't know. Still don't think Detroit's going to make the playoffs, but again, a Rams win would greatly or increase our odds. Will give us a couple more hours of hope for the Lions before they crush it, most likely on Sunday night. But I do like Rams +6.5. I like that play. My over for the weekend, I'm going to take, I think in the most competitive game we have, Tennessee versus Jacksonville. I'm going to take the over of 40 points in that one. I don't know why it's so low, probably because Tennessee sucks offensively and Jacksonville is a very solid D. But I think Jacksonville is going to put up a lot of points. As I briefly touched on the incentives of the Jacksonville wide receivers, we have Trevor Lawrence who wants to get those guys. I know he's not fully healthy, but Tennessee does have one of the worst passing defenses in the league. So I can see Jacksonville putting up hopefully 30 points. And then if Tennessee can just put up 10, I'd be a happy man in that game.
All right, mine. You might have to plug your nose here because this stinks, but I'm going the other side of that division. Indy and Houston over 38. Both teams really have not much to play for. I think they just go out there, try to have some fun. Jeff Saturday has kind of brought some fun to that Indianapolis team. So I think they just go out there, throw the ball around. 38's low. They had a 2020 tie week 1. So that got over the total. And then lastly, I heard a stat in the last 4 seasons, 2 teams that are completely eliminated from the playoffs in the last week of the year. The over's gone 20-12. It's like 62.5%. So I'll ride that trend. I think they go out there, have some fun. It's a low total. So
Yeah, I
over
actually really
38.
like that. It's definitely going to be Saturday's last game as a head coach.
Yeah.
No way he gets hired again. But yeah, I really like that. I'll definitely throw some money on that one.
Sam
Is it really a
Ellinger is the
tough?
QB too. So I think
Yeah,
he wants to show that he can throw the ball around a little bit. So
yeah, I like that play a lot. In regards to the under, I really hate this play. I'm not exactly sure why I took it, but I have it written down. The New York Jets against the Miami Dolphins under 38 and a half. I think my thought process here, I don't fully remember. Maybe I just got a little fuzzy from the chip, but I think my thought process here is terrible quarterback play from each team. Jets superb defensive secondary. So hopefully I'm kind of thinking like a 17-13 type of game here. It is one of the lower point totals, so just beware. I hate taking the under. I'm on the lowest point totals of the weekend. But I'm just going to bank on poor quarterback play and hopefully a couple picks out of the Jets.
yeah, I speaking on that game, I heard another stat. I can't remember off the top of my head. Something about like a divisional home dog who is alive for the playoffs or something. The under is hit at an extreme rate as well. It was basically say play the under in that game. I'll try to get to you if I can remember or see again what that was.
Okay.
But I have heard there is a trend that backs the under in that game. So I like that. My under, it's gross, but I'm gonna go Kansas City, Las Vegas, kind of like we touched on. Just don't think Las Vegas can put up near the points they did last week. Think Kansas City kind of blows them out. Then just treads water the rest of the game. So 31-10, kind of hope it stays somewhere around there. Hopefully a no sweater. Lost on Kansas City under last week, so we're gonna go back to the well with them here.
And that's the 52 and a half, right?
52 and a half. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a solid play. I'll probably jump on that. I like yours more than mine, but whatever. All right, my dog. I hate it. I hate this dog. I bet on this team way too much in this challenge of the 5 teams, but I am taking Cleveland money line over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is still in the playoffs, kind of. I doubt they're going to get in, but they are still in the playoff race. Cleveland, I just think is a better team. I still think Deshaun's slowly getting better week after week. Obviously, there's not a whole lot to play for. As of right now, they're knocked out, but again, possibly on the expansion of the playoff teams, they could sneak in. But just think Cleveland wins. They're just a better team, and that's pretty much my only thought process in regards to that bet.
I like that too, and I think that line is kind of fishy as well. I think with Pittsburgh playing for a playoff spot, it should be at least like 4.5. So
Yeah.
I agree with you there. I think Cleveland can get it done. Um, I wanted to give out Miami in the spot as they're a +1 dog, but I'm gonna swing for the fences for the final regular season. I'm gonna go Tennessee +230. Think they can win outright, win that division. Um, Jacksonville would actually also still be alive for a playoff spot. I don't know how they get in if they lose that game, but there's a chance. Um, yeah, I think Tennessee can get it done.
You in
It's gross.
Tennessee.
It's
Good
gross,
luck.
man.
I'm done
It's
with that.
gross.
I have a couple teams that are on my no list. It's Tennessee, and then it's USC in college football. That team fucking sucks.
Yeah,
But good luck. I'm
you can
all
move
over
my
the Jags.
record.
Sorry, go ahead.
You can move my record to 14 and 22 if you'd like.
I'm all over the Jags that game. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. I can't. I'm done betting Tennessee.
Yeah.
But usually when I stop is usually when something good happens. But all right, my favorite again, kind of gross, but I believe everyone's sitting for the Chargers, which is why I'm going to take Denver money line. They're -125. Obviously, this is why I say read the reports because this is one of those fishy lines. But it's because everyone on LAC is on the Chargers is sitting. Not sure who's really playing for Denver. I'm not sure if Russ will be or if he's going to sit and someone else will play. Regardless of who starts at quarterback, I like Denver to win this game. And the season, I guess you can't really end it on a high note with how bad this has gone, but they played the last couple of games competitively. They almost beat the Chiefs last week. They're in a 4-point game. The week prior, I believe it was close as well. So I just like Denver to win this one in a game that means nothing for the Chargers.
Love that play. Um, yeah, they were a 3-point dog yesterday, so I guess it just came out that their LA is going to rest their starters. I actually liked them as a dog. I like them even more now as the favorite. But for my favorite, again, ugly, gross. Can't believe I even wrote it down. I'm going back to Indianapolis minus 145. Um, this is a play on the young quarterback, just like you said, the Jeff Saturday final coaching job. Um, and then a play against Houston. They lose, they lock up the number one overall spot. If they win, it likely goes to Chicago, which they're probably not going to draft a quarterback, but then Houston has to worry about someone trading up with them to take, assumingly Bryce Young, if that's who they want. So I just think Houston, they might go out there, have some fun, throw the ball around, but at the end of the day, I don't think they want to necessarily get a win here. So I think Indy, get one last one for Saturday, get a win for Ellinger, and yeah, it's gross, but I hope it gets there.
Yeah, I could see it. I'm in love with that over of that game. So I'll definitely it's pretty early, but I feel like I'm gonna throw a lot of money on that because I love it so much. I could, both teams obviously nothing. Houston's shown that they can score. Indy's shown that they can score. Both teams defensively are pretty crap. So I do like that. I'm not sure who's gonna win that game again, just because I don't know who really cares. But
Right.
yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, kind of again tricky slate this week. I feel like we navigated our five bets pretty as best as we could. I feel like we have quite a bit of stats backed up with a little bit of emotion. But yeah, hopefully we can have another profitable week. Last week was our first week that was technically unprofitable. But that did we are 2 weeks prior to that we did have over 50% record. So hopefully we can get back on track, and then we might change up what we do for the playoffs because obviously there's not that many games. So maybe we can find a different a type of our bets that we use for the wild card weekend, and then moving forward just because the games are limited. But in regards to our challenge, I'm all over well, obviously I'll let you say what you want, but I'm kind of all over this Jets Dolphins game for our challenge.
Yeah, that was the one I was leaning towards too.
Okay, so you want Miami, whatever, +1. It doesn't really matter. I'll take Jets -1.
I'll money line them if you want.
Okay, money
Just
line.
want to go straight up.
Just get rid of the push. So I'm
Yep.
taking New York Jets money line, and you're taking Dolphins money line.
Yep. I like that too because it's well, other than your under, there's nothing really involved in our five
Yeah.
bets there, so it's completely different.
Yeah, that's not bad. And then again, please give us ideas. We're willing to pretty much do almost anything that's appropriate and is not super harmful to our bodies. So please let us know. And yeah, I hope you had a good week. Do you have anything to add before we sign off?
Yeah, no, yeah, weird week. Just again, make sure to be reading those articles, those quotes. Don't be blindly opening up your apps on Sunday, like, oh, it's NFL Sunday. What am I gonna bet on? You have to do quite a bit of research this week just to know who's playing for what and who's starting, who's not. So yeah, just do a little bit of research this week. Be smart about it. Yeah, let's hopefully end this regular season profitable.
Yeah, I'll try to come up with some juicy player props of second stringers or third stringers that you've never heard of that will be getting playing time. Like I'm not sure who exactly Saquon's backup is, but him and then his backup are probably really good props this weekend. A couple other plays like that could be profitable just because the book doesn't really know how to adjust those since they have never started before. So there's definitely chances to win big money on those player props that just don't have a whole lot of data. So I'll try to get something out with that. But again, yeah, Ethan, you said it. Just make sure you're doing the research. We can't stress that enough. Very weird week in regards to the NFL and matchups and everything. But thank you for tuning in. I'm happy I didn't throw up or shit my pants during the show. But yeah, good luck to everyone in your bets. Go Rams, go Lions. We'll see what happens. And as always, thank you for listening.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.